Wizards of the Coast, the company that's behind both Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, was made aware of a YouTuber who had unboxed a set of Magic cards that hadn't been released yet. Okay?
Yeah.
Now this YouTuber, who goes by oldschoolmtg, yeah, Old School Magic the Gathering, had about 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, and owns personally over 1 million Magic cards. Buying and selling Magic cards, not a new thing to this guy. Buying Magic cards for exorbitant amounts of money, not a new thing to this guy. Finding rare releases, finding, mint cuts, finding weird, obscure things that an audience might care about and a collector definitely does care about. This guy. So, he meets up with a broker and agrees to buy the March of the Machine pack, which was made available sometime in like February or something like that. And he bought this early March. Broker says, okay, yeah, $4,000. And so he goes, okay, that's a lot of money. Now, some people's alarm bells are going off, like, who spends $4,000 on Magic cards?
Yeah.
He's not the first, and he definitely will not be the last, okay?
Yep.
This is coming from a person who has 1 million Magic cards in their collection. That's the price of some of them. Anyway, pays the broker, goes home, and has March of the Machine, the Aftermath, which is a pack it's an expansion pack for March of the Machine that has not been released and was supposed to be revealed at the beginning of May. So here in the next week or two. Supposedly with a May 12th launch date. So we're here just within 20 days of the launch date. Now look, embargoes are a thing. They are, street dates are a thing. Street date is what you talk about if you're talking like movie or book releases. If you walk into a retail store, if you've ever worked in a big box store or a video store, you will see pallets of DVDs that are covered in cardboard and shrink wrapped, and it says street date 3/31/23, which means you can't break that seal on that pack of pallets until 3/31/23. And they even have a timestamp in which they can be released to the floor. And so usually if you work at a Best Buy or a Walmart or whatever else, your overnight duty for that pallet is to wheel it out, and then at 6 a.m. open the box, and then they're for sale. Like, that's how releases work. How a lot of video game hardware releases work is by embargo dates. That is, you will not sell or release information before a specific date. And an embargo is different from an NDA. An NDA is a legally binding contract that I would sign as a reviewer saying, I have no knowledge of the RTX 4070. I will not speak of it unless it is publicly available knowledge that I gleaned from a third party, kind of thing. And I will keep all first-party communications under wraps. That's a standard NDA. I sign those all the time for unreleased hardware. An embargo is simply an agreement, a gentleman's agreement, that neither one of us are going to talk about this until May 12th, and then all hands off. However, as a consumer, as someone who doesn't work with Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, he's not under NDA. He never signed a contract. He never agreed to an embargo date via email. He simply bought a pack of cards. Okay? Wizards of the Coast, infamous for their wonderfully graceful treatment of all of their customers in every situation. I can't think of one time they've made anyone irritated in the least. recently or otherwise.
Of course.
Did they call Old School MTG and say, hey, I saw you got this pack early. Where did you get it from? Because that's not supposed to be released yet. Hey, I saw the video. I appreciate your enthusiasm for Magic. I appreciate you being a customer. Tell you what, if you can take that video down until May 12th, you can put it back up after that. That's totally fine. And tell you what, we'll get you early access to whatever the next expansion for that is. Like we'll bring you into the fold. We'll get you set up with whatever you need to,
We'll sweeten the pot for your inconvenience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This looks bad for us because an embargo date was broken. We weren't ready for this announcement yet. Hey, tell you what, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Like
exactly.
That's how you.
That's how it should have been done.
It's how it should be done. Because what are you, Wizards of the Coast? You're a company that sells entertainment. You're not a hardware company. You're not a logistics company. You're not anything else. Your bread and butter is the well-being and enjoyment of your customers. Your customers have one of two traits. Either A, a lot of disposable income, or B, they like your product. That's it. That's it. You start pissing them off, let's see how much that disposable income weighs into the equation anymore.
Yeah.
So, what did Wizards of the Coast do? Did they give him a phone call? Did they send a certified mail from a
cease
lawyer?
And desist
or
something.
desist,
Yeah.
Take this video down, which is kind of within their right to do. Kind of. Because, again, there was no agreement between Old School MTG and Wizards of the Coast to agree to an embargo date. So they can certainly send a cease and desist and say, hey, you received this product under false pretenses, or we believe it's stolen, or anything else. But no crime has been committed here. Even if this involves forfeiture of property or anything else, this is a civil matter, not a legal matter. There's a very clear distinction. Again, not a lawyer. Again, not all the information is out. But from what it sounds like is the broker had these boxes of unreleased cards for a looming release date, and mistakenly sold one of these packs to Old School MTG. Old School MTG goes, oh, this is an unreleased pack. This is not, unheard of for someone to open packs of Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering or whatever else early. Like, I hadn't heard of this pack, but hey, let's open it on my YouTube channel. Did they get a call from Wizards of the Coast, a certified letter, a email from a lawyer? No. What happens? Two Pinkerton agents.
Pinkerton.
Pinkerton. That Pinkerton. The Pinkerton you're thinking of. The Pinkerton from Red Dead Redemption 2.
Those Pinkertons.
The union busting baddies from the early 1900s.
Yes.
The organization known for restraining their forceful hand and tactics. The one that's known to be on the side of good. Not that Pinkerton. The Pinkerton you're thinking of from Red Dead Redemption 2. If anything, Red Dead Redemption might have downplayed some of it. Anyway, two Pinkerton agents arrive on his doorstep, knock on his door on one random morning. Even inquired to all of his neighbors like 3 or 4 days beforehand. Hey, do you know anything about this kid? We have an appointment with him. And no. So anyway, they knock on his door. And mind you, Pinkerton agents are independent contractors. They are independent private investigators or detectives. They have no actual legal authority. They cannot serve warrants. They can arrest you in a citizen's arrest type manner, dependent on...
If they've witnessed something, if they have to witness...
Right. If they witness firsthand a crime, they can arrest you and hold you until a sheriff or actual
form
local
of law
police
enforcement
are there. But they have no court-issued authority. Okay?
No.
They knock on the door. His wife answers. And said, we're looking for blah, blah, blah. And said his entire name. His last name is Cannon. Gave his full name and said, we're investigating some stolen material. And she's like, okay, please wait outside. I'll go get my husband. A Pinkerton agent, allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, but put his foot in the door, attempted to enter the domicile, and prevented her from closing the door.
Can't do that.
Can't do that. You don't have authority to do that. So Cannon finally comes to the door and says, what's this about? Gets everyone outside. Good move, Cannon. Gets everyone outside and says, hey, what's going on? And they said, we're here about some stolen property. Do you have magic cards in the house? And he goes, yeah, I'm a collector. I have like 1 million magic cards in the house. And they say, oh, do you have full documented receipts for every single magic card that's in your house? He goes, well, no, but what are you looking for? We're looking for this particular pack of cards that you did a video on. Oh, yeah, I have that. And I have a receipt for it. I purchased it. And they said, well, would you give it to us? And he says, well, no. And he goes, okay, well, we're going to go get the county sheriff involved then. And we're going to bring him down here. We're going to seize all your property. We're going to hold you you're going to go to jail for anywhere for between 1 and 10 years. And you're going to pay $200,000 in fines and legal fees.
Yeah.
And so he gives them the cards that they were after, plus the original packaging and the original shrink wrap, and they go on their way. Now, Wizards of the Coast. Was it really necessary to...
Well, actually, there was more in that, too, because, again, allegedly, this wasn't even like a quick conversation.
Mm-mm.
This was like, it went on for a while. I guess they, some form of aggression so harsh enough that his wife started to break down.
His wife broke down into tears at one point. Because of the threatening, menacing, intimidating nature of the self-proclaimed Pinkerton agents, and we're going to take your husband away for a long, long time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this goes back to the or what you were going to of does the company that does Time Wizards actually did they have to do this?
Right.
That harsh.
Look. Street dates are there as essentially a gentleman's agreement. That's what they are. Unless you're under contract, unless you're under an NDA. So if you're someone like Walmart, you sign a contract saying, we will not break street date with Warner Brothers Studios. And Warner Brother will send you DVDs prior to release that you cannot release until their specified embargo date and time. That's pretty standard practice. If Walmart breaks that agreement, then Walmart might be subject to fines from the company, which are agreed upon in the contract, a civil contract, not a legal contract, a civil contract, and could include punishments up to Walmart not being able to carry Warner Brothers movies anymore, because if they break enough street dates, then that'll happen. Look. Apple is one of those companies that is super harsh, super regulated, has everything above board. Apple has their own internal police, which employees have previously referred to as the Apple Gestapo. Apple Apple, and in a cruel twist of fate, had a dealing with Gizmodo, this website, about 13 years ago, around the time of the release of the iPhone 4. Specifically about 3 months before the release of the iPhone 4. Because, stop me if you've heard this one before, an Apple engineer walks into a bar. It's not a setup for a joke. It's actually what happened. An Apple engineer in San Francisco was testing an iPhone 4 prototype that was inside of an iPhone 3GS shell, so he could use it in public without drawing any eyes to the new unibody aluminum frame that they were designing for the iPhone 4. Got hammered, left it in a bar. Someone recovered the phone. Gizmodo ran a story on it and dissected the phone and tore it apart and everything else. Did Apple send their own personal Gestapo and Pinkerton agents to Gizmodo's door? No. What they did was they sent a certified letter and contacted San Francisco Police Department and said, hey, we believe we know where the location of some of our stolen property is at. And so they knocked on they sent a letter to Gizmodo and said, hey, do you have our property? Gizmodo said, I believe this is your property, yes. And they said, we would like it back, please. And Gizmodo said, of course, sure. There you go. So the irony of Gizmodo covering basically the same thing, but where Wizards of the Coast hires literally Pinkerton agents to go to the front door and threaten and intimidate someone in which no crime was committed that we know of. Now there's a missing component to this. Did the broker acquire illegally the original deck, the March of the Machine, the Aftermath package that was sold to Canon? We don't know, but Wizards of the Coast has brought no such information or evidence, at least to the public conversation.
Yeah.
So that deems that this is a civil conversation. That deems that this is a civil matter. Threatening to go get the county sheriff, throw you away for 10 years, and charge you with $200,000 in fines and legal fees because we can do this all day, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is, he's out this particular money that it was, again, because he eventually did, like you said, give it to them. But these detectives are under contract, I use that quotationally, under them. So they're acting as an employee or representative of the Wizards, whatever,
exactly.
of the Coast.
Now, in a statement, Wizards of the Coast did say that... let me see if I can find the actual statement here. Wizards of the Coast, quote, and this is a direct quote from the company, strongly refutes the depiction of events which contradicts both the report from the investigation as well as the conversation between the individual and Wizards of the Coast representative after the interaction in question. The company also stated, under no circumstances would we instruct any employee or contracted agency to intimidate an individual. And here's where it gets really dicey, is because Wizards of the Coast contracted with Pinkerton, the actions of the Pinkerton agency are the liability, I'm not a lawyer, of Wizards of the Coast.
Yes, I would believe that.
If you hire a guy who's known for breaking people's kneecaps for cheating in Vegas and say, hey, go deal with this guy for me. He's a customer and he's been screwing us out of a lot of money. And he goes and breaks this guy's kneecaps. You can't in court say, well, I didn't know he was going to break his kneecaps.
Doesn't matter. He's now your temporary employee representative. What he does, it falls under you, the company.
Again, we don't know the upper story of this, but stolen property is a far-fetch. They are... Oh, and they claimed copyright infringement as well. Again, nothing was copied, nothing was duplicated, nothing was obtained illegitimately, as far as we know, outside of a civil embargo agreement with the original card broker. And in which case they can take it up in civil court with the original card broker. But the customer is still a customer, and the consumer is still the consumer, and may still have full legal rights to that deck of cards. But Cannon says the agents continued to claim that he was in possession of stolen property, and that if Cannon didn't hand over the product, quote, immediately, they would escalate the situation to local law enforcement, claiming they would bring in the local sheriff. They claimed copyright infringement and said I would face between 1 and 10 years in jail. They also allegedly threatened that this incident could result in up to $200,000 in fines plus legal fees. Was this necessary?
No.
No.
Like you said earlier, that a phone call. Now they claim too that Wizards of the Coast claim that they called, but there was no voicemail left. They tried to get a hold of them, but no one was there, so they didn't do anything. These are all claims.
Right. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to equate this to some Nintendo practices in recent years of DMCAing gameplay that has been uploaded to YouTube, saying that is our property. No, because fair use dictates that as many people as I want can watch me play this game. It's fair use, and by me playing this game, it becomes a derivative work of your work, which means I can republish it with full rights. You don't own Mario once it hits my hands and it's on my screen. Now, I can't copy Mario, but I can certainly perform Mario. How is this different from a musical instrument manufacturer, say Buffet or Selmer or something like that, saying anything that you produce on that saxophone, we own because it's our instrument?
Well, I mean, you can even literally go into the whole idea of a computer or a graphics card or a camera. Right. Anything that comes out of this or been recorded and uploaded. Well, technically, Canon and Sony own this stream right now. Plus a bit of YouTube and
hey, I'm on
NVIDIA.
I'm on Zcam.
Oh, okay.
Right. But yeah, it's a ridiculous argument that no one would ever make. So why are we allowing it to be made in the context of card games and video games?
Well, I think this comes back to the statement, like he stated, Cannon stated about his wife being threatened, and I think the investigators knew, hey, if we use this lingo, that works 99% of the time. You ever watch cop training videos or survival videos? Yeah. There's always, you got to be aggressive first, and then a lot of that time just gets you what you want.
Yeah, look where that's
people usually just but just like in the article, it stated that it took a while for them to calm down, or for Cannon to calm the situation down.
And it was Cannon who calmed the situation down.
Exactly. So
agents.
No, and it, I mean, it's kind of like dealing with one of those Bond bailsmen, the bounty hunter type guys. Yeah. That's probably how they're acting. It's like you have to go aggressive hard all the time.
Right. But the thing is, bond bailsmen do have legal authority from the courts. Pinkerton detectives do not. No. You can have investigative licenses. You can be licensed as a private investigator and do things that are slightly outside the law, or if they're suspicious, you go, I'm a private investigator, I've been hired by such and such to look at this person or sift through their trash or whatever else, and the police go, oh, okay, as long as you're licensed, as long as you are not directly breaking the law. You can sit outside someone's house and take pictures so long as you have a private investigator license, because you then have a contract with the company that hired you that says
it's not just the license too. You have to have the contract.
It's also a contract.
You can't just go around taking pictures of people. Jeff, I'm gonna get this license just so I can go around to my neighbor's house.
Right. But
it's legal.
But yeah, it gives you more leverage, but it's only a set of rules that you can follow. Pinkerton detectives are nothing more than private investigators, which means they do not have a legal right to enter a residence, to force their way to enter a residence, to threaten jail time, to threaten legal fees, to anything else that Canon is alleging in this report. And I have to ask, Wizards of the Coast, is it worth raking your fans over the coals left and right instead of celebrating the fans that you have? Just as a straight up like business decision. You are in the entertainment industry. If I every day got onto my YouTube channel and said, you all, why do you even watch this crap? I don't even know. I hate you all. No, what do I do as a YouTuber? Hey, thanks to see everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it because I actually do. You are the reason that I get to do what I do. Consumers are the reasons that Wizards of the Coast and all the artists and everything therein get to keep expanding the games that they make. Without the consumers, without the people who liked the product, there would be nothing. It makes great business sense to, instead of sending two Pinkerton agents to some random Florida kid's house and threatening 10 years of jail time because someone leaked your cards 2 weeks early, to go, hey, you know what? You're such a fan. You found this. It's a great opportunity. Let's bring you to where they're printed. We'll give you an uncut sheet. We'll do this for you. Like, thank you so much. Next time, let's get you in the fold and have you not break embargo. Like let's make sure that you're aware of the embargo dates that are coming out. You won't talk about the new card packs until they're announced by Wizards of the Coast. You'll get all the press points. He wins. Wizards of the Coast wins. Everyone wins. Nothing is weird. And no one goes to jail and threatens legal fees.
Well, now this isn't the first time. It states in this article that this isn't the first time, the Wizards of the Coast have even deployed the Pinkertons in an investigation. And this has to do with what they said was a uncut sheet that, again, stolen material. Now,
there's a reason I brought up the uncut sheet, because this is not the first time the Pinkertons have been used by Wizards of the Coast to recover Magic cards.
So that article I haven't read yet, if it actually was stolen.
Yeah.
Do you know if that one was stolen or not?
Well, the only link to this story is on magic.wizards.com.
Yeah,
it's an archive link on their own website, which means it has been completely whitewashed of all negative and incriminating information that were well, it wasn't actually stolen, but we still took it back anyway. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering then if they were like, well, let's just do this again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we've been on this for a while.
Yep.
Corporate America never fails to surprise me. Shouldn't just say corporate America. I should just say large unthinking corporations who will step over $1 to pick up a dime. How could you not see this as an opportunity rather than a front to everything you believe in? How could you see this particular situation as this guy's trying to screw over my announcement? Or this guy's so super enthusiastic. He paid $4,000 to have early access to this pack. Understands what he had, was super excited on his video, brings people into the fold as far as being Magic card enthusiasts, and is probably better as an asset for us than a detriment. Why don't we work with it?
I mean, how much of
that you don't think that way, Wizards of the Coast?
Well, that's the thing. How much better of a story would it have been to promote this item to be found treasure item, accidentally re-release, and then they're gonna make him the face of a particular launch in a sector,
right?
In his state, and then boom,
Right.
he's going to be the one to launch
or
it.
he
We're
gets
going to
first
give you that
on for the next expansion pack
for the next. But then you write a story of like positivity,
right?
Where our check out the enthusiastic reaction to this latest set. This is how awesome it's going to be. Type of a thing.
And Captain Tack points out, and he didn't even know it was going to be early access when he agreed to pay $4,000 for it.
Yeah.
$4,000 for cards that he already owns 1 million of. MTG fans, don't at me. I understand that Magic the Gathering, I was huge into Magic the Gathering at one point in time. First, second, third release, but someone paid $4,000 to receive an expansion pack of cards, of playing cards, of wax-covered cardboard. Do you think maybe they're a better customer than you want to give them credit for? And maybe they're not trying to screw over your company?
This guy literally puts his email address in every one of his videos. They easily could have reached out to him.
And they didn't.
Yeah. Because I'm looking back at some of his older ones to make sure that signature wasn't just like a new thing he put on for support. It's on 3 weeks ago, way before the video. So I'm betting they didn't even watch. They just saw the cover, this thumbnail, and some executive freaked out.
Yes.
Get him. Go put a stop to this.
Right. And that's exactly what it was. And so some exec freaks out and goes, they're ruining our launch. My personal launch. And I took that personally. And so what do you do? Or
whoever designed the card, yeah.
Pay hired goons to show up at his doorstep. Denver chiming in with $5. Thank you very much, Denver. And I definitely, absolutely, sincerely appreciate that. Now go away. What the hell are you watching my show for? Derivative work requires authorization. No, it does not. Fair use is a defense against copyright claims for unauthorized derivative works. Fair use is unfortunately not fair use until proven fair use in a court of law, unless there is back catalog in a court of law that defines your exact use case as fair use. I know that got complicated really quick. Derivative work is a statute of fair use and is used as clearly derivative, so clearly inspired by, but original in its own sense, to the best of my understanding of that definition. Derivative work can be a fair use thing. It can also be a in video games. In video games, in board games, you're not allowed to copyright game mechanics. So if I came out with a game tomorrow that was a real estate purchasing game where you went around a board and you could be thrown in jail if you either went too fast or made money too quickly, and as you're going around the board you have to pay rent, and once you own like a little slum of the city, you can upgrade it and build like skyscrapers and crap and start charging people more money because now it's an upscale neighborhood. And I called it Unopoly. Everything but the name is derivative work because you cannot copyright game mechanics. So when it comes to artistic expression, when it comes to gameplay, and we're focusing on gameplay like playing Splatoon on YouTube or Twitch, where Nintendo was DMCAing gameplays, let's plays of Splatoon 2, because they're like, that's our game. No, it's not. I mean, it is your game. You can sell a copy of the game. You can sell rights to a license to the use of a game, is kind of what it is. But the gameplay that's happening on screen right now is derivative in spite of you. It's using your content to create something new. Because the action that's on screen right now in the Twitch stream or whatever and the commentary that's being given and the actual gameplay and the interactions have never happened before and will never happen again.